you look back on the start and think, what if?
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, just beaten up in the contest first quarter. Actually, well, for most of the night in that area. I mean, the medalist was worthy. I thought an outstanding game, unfortunately for us. But so we'll have a good look at that. We're licking our wounds at the moment when it comes to our that midfield battle, and we knew that was coming. It was a big build-up and a big stage, and unfortunately we didn't bring our A game.
So the intensity that they started with, why didn't you think you were able to match them with that?
As the game went on, or why didn't we match them?
Why weren't you able to match them?
They had sharper feet than us. We were missing tackles. Uncharacteristic for us, but it's a little bit of both sides. I think we were a tiny bit off, a couple of % off, and they were on, to their credit. They drove out a stoppage and that gave them an overlap. So, I mean, their metres game was huge by handball, and that's what happens when they beat you in a round stoppage. So we end up playing the game in our back half, and that's a challenge. That's a real challenge, no matter where you play, but it's pretty hard to come and win here. And when you're not right at the start, unfortunately, we then, the end of that first quarter, to sort of have those couple of quick ones against us in red time, that just, unfortunately, that sort of hit quarter time in a pretty flat spot. But we kept fighting. But you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that in these games.
When Brayshaw and Sarong are getting off the leash like that, how tough is that as a coach to try to stop that and rein them back in?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was in a really key area in a round stoppage, where there's not a lot more we can do. We changed a few things, and to the guys' credit, as I said, we kept coming at them, but in the end, the game was 40 odd points, which is that margin's far too large to fight back from, and they were too good in a key area of the game.
Can you tell us about Riley Thorthorpe's finger? I know he played through it, but what do you know?
Yeah, we're going to have a bit more of a look at it. I haven't spoken to the docs as yet, but I think it's dislocated, and so on. We'll just have to see to what extent that is. He managed to go off and get back on the ground and still impact. So hopefully it's not a long-term miss for him. He's very important to us at the moment, as you saw tonight. So it was nice to see him come back out, but we'll know more as that settles down.
Didn't have Darcy Fogarty out there tonight. How much did that, do you think, disrupt your forward structure?
I think any time you have a player out that's been there right through, it challenges you and changes your connection or your cohesion, especially ahead of the ball. So Darcy's really important to us. But at the same time, we felt like we had a group that if we gave them enough opportunity, they'd be able to score and we could get a result over here. But in the end, we didn't really give them enough opportunity. As I've talked through, the game's won and lost in the midfield more often than not, and tonight was a prime example of it. The better team got us done in that space.
Just back on Thorthorpe, how long has he been battling a finger issue? Because he had them strapped, so I'm guessing.
Oh no, this is something new. I mean, it was my understanding was it's one of those ones. It's not an old injury, but Riley does get a lot of footies in his hands and goes for a lot of contested marks, and so his hands are getting beaten up. Pretty tough young kid though. He keeps fighting through it. Now, hopefully this one's not a really bad one, but he's had his moments across the time with his hands, and that's what happens with key position players.
Yeah. He still looks so dangerous in that final quarter. What does that say for his character to have an injury like that and still do it?
Yeah, we love him. We love him. He's a big part of our footy club. He kept fighting for us tonight. It's the sort of character that we think we've brought into the footy club, but hopefully he's okay.
A couple of the stats in the forward 50. I think you had 14 marks inside 50 and 18 tackles. Is it misleading? Is it where the ball was being marked, or like those? They're pretty impressive stats for a team that only got inside 40 times. Yeah, we had our chances, didn't we? And that's probably the part that we're sitting in a spot at the moment where we're really disappointed with what we put out there tonight. But we had our opportunities. We didn't kick straight. Expected scores probably not looking as bad as what it could have. I think Isaac knocked one through where no one would kick it from, so that changes that. But we missed some goals that we've been knocking through. And again, I'll come back. Maybe Darcy Fogarty is an important player for us because he doesn't miss very often. But tonight was just one of those nights.
We got a lot of other areas wrong, and then that one, on top of that, not being able to knock it through when we had a chance, as you said, marks inside 50. That's going to cost you the game.
That third quarter, you had so much momentum and you just couldn't find that goal. It was just, how disheartening is it going into the final change at that point?
We probably took a fair bit of positive into the third quarter because it was into the fourth, because it was a quarter where we felt like the game turned a little bit for us. That's the only spot we could find it in, unfortunately. So we tried to keep that momentum into the last and said, well, the scoreboard didn't look good for us, but we were going to try and finish strong. In the end, as I said before, you don't want to finish a game like that and try and find too many positives. We've got to be better. We've just got to be better on the road, and we weren't, unfortunately, tonight.
Concerns over Hinge's hit on Brayshaw when Carl Warner was coming up under the blood rule, and then Brayshaw takes the shot.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it close enough to sort of get an understanding of what it is. So you guys probably know more on that than what I do.
And what chance is Fogarty coming back next week?
Hopefully a big one. Yeah. But again, that'll be, it's an SC joint, which they can linger. He's a country boy though, so pretty sure he'll be pretty keen after watching tonight. He want to get back out there and help.
No.
We're told the Crouch sub was tactical. When you were getting beaten in the midfield, it seemed a little bit strange. Was there something you didn't like what you saw from him?
No, not at all from Matty. I mean, our midfield, I mentioned, they're sitting in there now, and we'll have a chat shortly. It's not the level we need to be. We made a change in there from a personnel point of view. We put a fair bit of speed in there in the last quarter. Dawson went forward. We brought Sid Draper on, who, he brings a lot of speed. We tried to change something in there to see if we could get some sort of, response. But it was nothing to do with Matty's individual game at all.
You said at halftime you felt like you were getting bashed in the midfield. How did you turn that around sort of later in the game to eventually win that final quarter?
A little bit of structure, but more so a mindset. When we're at our best, we challenge the opposition in that space. So, we drive our legs with the footy. I thought Freo tonight were much better ball in hand. I thought they took us on, they challenged us, forced us to miss tackles. I didn't think, and we've sat down as a group at half time, we didn't think we brought that in the first half. I think if you watch the game back, and we will, we thought we improved that in the second half. So we took them on a little more with the ball in hand, and that sort of opened up a bit of overlap, but we didn't get any of that first half.
And Taylor Walker on his birthday didn't have one to remember. He had a really tough game out there. Was it just not having the Fogarty balance, or was there something structural that just wasn't there?
It comes back to our ability to give them opportunities. I thought as a forward line, when we gave them some opportunity, they were able to find it. We just didn't quite convert in front of goal, but it wasn't about an individual.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.